Yahoo Boys, and the latest on TikTok.
It's news to me. Welcome to It's News to Me, where the it is IT and the me is whoever it needs to be. I'm Noah Parker.
I'm Michael Trotter-Lawson.
And I'm Tyler Rasnick.
And we're back.
Yeah, back again. Took a little bit of time off to let Tyler come back from Vegas.
And I graduated college.
Yeah.
Woo-woo.
A lot going on.
Yeah, it's a busy week. Busy 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We both lost money in different ways.
It's true. Some of us came out better than the others. It's probably Tyler. Tyler probably came out better than me.
I don't know. I got scammed out of $100 at an oxygen bar, so.
What?
Aw, man.
I'll tell that story some other time.
Okay. All right.
And I got scammed out of thousands and thousands of dollars
By
for a
State
piece
University?
of paper.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh, dear. Okay. New hypothetical question this week. We're going with a music-focused one for no particular reason, but it's what was on my mind.
When this comes out, it's gonna be May.
Wow. Okay.
So that's music related.
Related, yeah, just barely. Anyway, well, we're talking about TikTok. TikTok is very music-centric. Anyway, if you all had to entrust... Well, hold on. Let me start over.
Let me start over. I just started, but let me try again.
Let me rephrase this.
Well, I was already going in a bad direction. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah,
right?
we're
a little
getting
rusty.
there.
We're just a little rusty. It's fine.
I got some WD-40.
We'll shake the cobwebs out and get back to it.
Yeah.
All right. So imagine that there are no more musicians. Everyone with any form of musical talent has just lost it. But you have to pick one person to make the rest of music for all time.
Like someone gets to retain their musical talent.
Yeah, one person. Or you can bring back any person who's passed away.
Can it be a group or just have to be a singular person?
No, it can be like a band.
Because I'm thinking like Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. Because they have so much range, they could do anything.
See, I'm thinking about but people, the thing is, everyone's still going to remember.
Yeah, all the music up to this point will still exist.
Yeah. Can you imagine how disappointed? I know this band, they're probably near and dear to your heart. But when music goes away and you're the person that decided this band that no one's heard of, that has probably no one knows,
Listen,
what? That's all we get now?
Listen, Dr.
It's the
Teeth,
band from the Muppets.
Yeah, it's the Muppet Band.
Even worse.
No.
That's somehow way worse to me.
They can do everything. They've got so much range.
Okay.
And Animal is the best drummer that has ever been in the Muppets.
I mean, at this point, just pick Kids Bop. That's a band.
That's different. That's way different.
You know, honestly, Kids Bop maybe not the worst way to go because you know at least they can do all the different kinds of music.
Yeah, but you'd never have an explicit word in a song again.
You're right.
But you could. With this, you could make that rule.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be Kids Bop anymore, would it?
Well, it'd just be Bop.
It'd just be Bop.
This is a really tough one.
I think
I just don't want to get locked into a niche. See, Weird Al's definitely on my list.
I think Weird Al's a really good candidate because he has so much experience parodying all of these different genres of music. I feel like...
Yeah, no, I mean, he was definitely my other choice. I just figured the other one would be, funnier for conversation to see what would get said.
I feel like you would almost have to go with, someone like Atticus... what is his name? The guy that works with Trent Reznor that makes all of the film scores.
Like Atticus Finch?
No.
That's an author, isn't
it?
Yeah,
no, that's a character in Harper Lee novel.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
But someone like that, like you said, does have range, but also like
it's the lawyer in To Kill a Mockingbird, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, I feel like a lot of people are gonna listen to this and be like, "These guys are picking the worst possible people." But the thing is, at least for me, I wouldn't want to get locked into one
to the
type
Beatles.
of music.
Can you imagine how sick of the Beatles we'd all be?
Yeah.
Well, but I here's the thing with the Beatles though, you're getting 4 individuals.
Yeah,
And I mean,
but I think the implication
They can only put music out
is
as the
that
Beatles.
yeah, it has to be as the whole group. You don't get to pick a group and then say that
no,
each
you're
of them
probably-
get to put out their own music.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I feel like in this
You're right.
scenario,
That's
if
kinda
one
against the
person
spirit of
leaves the
things.
group, then this magical entity takes their talent. Like, you're not part of the Beatles anymore. You can't do anything.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we get put into that Yesterday movie.
Did either of you see that movie?
No.
No, I just out of
It
principle.
looked like a cool concept, but
I
it wasn't like...
I was genuinely curious how that would play out, but I was not curious enough to actually watch the movie.
I mean, I just imagine if
and I
something
also
like
heard
that...
it wasn't very good.
If something
so-
like that happened to one of us, like, I don't think I would be able to go and recreate any of these, musical geniuses that...
well,
were created.
Well, because also, like, I don't know how to play guitar.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be a
like...
pretty big barrier to entry for me.
Well,
you
to
know?
be fair, though, with that movie, it wasn't like this guy was single-handedly trying to, make all the music himself. It's just he's the only one who remembered it.
Well, yeah, but like that's the thing. I could not
Explain it to someone else
I could
either.
not by ear play. I mean, I guess I could like sing the tune.
But I feel like you
know.
could find someone who had enough talent to where you could sing them the song and they could, make it happen to some extent.
Yeah, there's plenty of people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, maybe.
But anyways, yeah, Weird Al or Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem would definitely be my
Now
top
that
two choices.
now that I've thought about it, since we can bring someone back,
Yeah,
and we could bring someone back who can play something timeless, especially since what they've already made to this point still exists. I'm going like Tchaikovsky or like Mozart.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going classical?
Because that's timeless.
I mean, you got to think those guys with like the modern technology.
yeah.
Obviously, you never know how exactly someone would react to that, but like, you got to think people with that much like creativity and whatnot in their own time, they'd have to be at least somewhat excited about like modern musical developments.
Their
right?
understanding of like the mathematics side, basically, of music or the theory
like,
side
music
of it.
theory, yeah.
Like that combined with all of the modern advancements. Imagine what Tchaikovsky or Beethoven or Mozart could like pull off today.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point to think about.
And especially because they would get to absorb all the different genres that have existed since their time.
But I mean, you're also making a bit of a gamble if they would actually have any respect for any of those genres that have come since.
True.
Even if they don't, though, we're still getting some solid new classical music that, took them 10 years sometimes to compose. So maybe
Yeah.
they can speed some of this shit up. Get on with it,
Maybe.
Beethoven. Like, we're waiting on you, man.
I don't know, I mean,
feel like didn't Mozart die at like a fairly young age?
Yeah, some of them, though, like...
I think everyone back then died at a fairly
well,
young age.
That's true.
Relative to now, sure, but yeah.
When did Mozart die? He was 35.
You're
so that's pretty
35,
young.
yeah, that's pretty young. I feel like given his impact on modern music, he probably put out a fairly respectable amount of things in his time.
He had a cool name, too. Wolfgang Amadeus. It's about as
Yeah,
cool as it
that's
gets.
a pretty
It's
sick
a
name.
pretty baller name, yeah.
That's not even a stage name. That's just what this dude is called. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
All right, so Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Weird Al Yankovic, and the...
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. All right. Sounds good to me.
And- So you said Weird Al.
yeah. Well, Michael did.
Yeah.
I also,
That's so.
yeah.
So really, by consensus, he's the pick, I guess.
I mean, he's just got so much range and variety, and he's
He just-
incredibly talented
He
just
has
as a musician.
just a lot of experience doing basically every genre of music in the last like 50 years.
While that's true, have you ever considered though they're all parodies? So he's
no,
all,
that's not true. He's done original songs.
He has, but they're not.
They're great. Some of his original songs are my favorite songs.
But if there's nothing to parody,
I mean, that's the thing, though. If he's the only musician left, there's so many things he hasn't parodied. He's got an endless library of tunes. I mean, it's not endless technically, but
While that may be true, again, think about the people that are awaiting anxiously, like the one guy that can drop music. They're like, I can't wait to see what's. And he's like, here's Whitney Houston. I'm covering Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody. And it's like, oh, Jesus. Not again. Not again with the song that we've heard a million times.
I feel like he has the capabilities of doing good original music. I mean, mainly because I've heard some of his original songs, and they are good. That being said, a lot of his stuff is goofy, but I think that, given the opportunity and not needing to stick within his niche, I feel like he'd be a good candidate.
I'm not arguing that he wouldn't be. I'm just thinking how funny it would be for people to be upset that only can hear Weird Al.
You could also... There's definitely a good argument to be made that you should just try and pick like the most talented vocalist that you could possibly, think of. And I'm not even sure.
I don't think that's the move, because I feel like there's so many celebrities that are incredible singers, but they're not that musically talented in terms of composing.
Yeah, and there's no one else to help them. It's just all up to them.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know. I think there's probably an argument to be made that the actual best candidate for this job is probably like some 38-year-old music professor at a university somewhere that,
Well, yeah, honestly, it's probably like Mark Ronson or one of the producers, like the Jack Antonoff guy that does all the Taylor Swift stuff.
Quincy Jones.
Who can literally do everything, sing, play guitar. He could produce his own album. That's honestly probably, if you want new, original, that's one of those guys is probably your bet, but it would be boring and no one knows who that is. So
yeah, well,
it should be Elvis Presley actually, and fat. We should bring back Fat Elvis before he died.
Fat Elvis,
yeah, Fat Elvis.
I don't know. I think Quincy Jones would be a good.
Is he still alive?
Well, it doesn't matter for this hypothetical.
True.
Yeah, he's 91.
Really, man.
I always forget that his daughter's Rashida Jones from Parks and Rec.
That's his daughter?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I didn't know that either. I think Stevie Wonder would be a good pick, too.
He would be.
I love Stevie Wonder.
He plays, to your point about being able to do it all, there's a lot of his songs where, it's got a bunch of different, brass, obviously the piano and whatnot, and he plays all of it.
Yeah. No, Stevie Wonder would definitely be a good...
Yeah, Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, too. He can play all the... I mean, the very first Foo Fighters album was just him. He played all of the instruments, sang, guitar, he produced it.
Yeah, didn't he do that because he didn't think that, him by himself was going to be enough to... So he was like, well, I'll just make a band and make it me.
And then when he toured, he's like, I'll find people to, play the instruments.
Man, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Man.
And he just seems like a cool dude in general.
Yeah, I would be excited. Maybe that's my pick. Beethoven or Dave Grohl.
Man, what a cast to choose from.
Yeah.
All right, let's put them all in a death match. Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, Weird Al, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, Beethoven, and Dave Grohl.
Probably the Muppets win because,
yeah.
How do you kill that?
How do you kill a Muppet? I don't know. But tune in next time.
They can just sew themselves back up. They don't have any vital organs. This episode of It's News to Me is brought to you by Burk IT.
Does Burk have an E on the end?
No, it does not. But Burk IT is an IT managed service provider that wants to build mutually beneficial partnerships with our clients.
Really?
That's true. Believe it or not, that is true.
I can barely believe it.
Unlike many of our competitors, Burk isn't looking for customers to bill when things go wrong. We have built our company so that we succeed when our clients succeed.
This seems like a good way to make money, if you ask me.
Could be.
It seems to be. For businesses in East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, or the surrounding area, we provide security-centric IT solutions with our highly qualified team of engineers.
What if I don't want security-centric IT solutions?
Then you can look elsewhere. But if you do, Burk IT is the place to be. We're building trusted relationships by providing practical, secure IT results. That's the Burk IT way.
Well, all right, well, let's talk about the Yahoo Boys.
Let's do it.
The Yahoo Boys.
What is that? Tell me more.
Is that a new Netflix original?
Yeah, if only. Honestly, it's a bit of a dark. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be dark. It's a group of scammers from, predominantly West Africa. But I mean, this is a group that's like organized, quote unquote organized, very loosely organized on just loads of different social media channels. They've got like hundreds of thousands of people in like different Facebook groups, WhatsApp
so it's like a network
channels.
of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're basically sharing a bunch of methods for like sextortion schemes is what it's referred to. Basically, just a bunch of scammers pretending to be like a romantic interest of some kind, and then they just kind of reel you in up until the point where they ask for like small bits of money, or you send explicit pictures or things like that, and then you send explicit pictures or stuff like that, they use it to blackmail you into more money and whatnot. So it's basically just a very elaborate scam, targeting very like emotionally vulnerable people. And it's just it really just sucks, honestly.
It sounds kind of messed up.
It's very messed up. And this scam and groups like this are not necessarily unique. The only thing that really makes these guys unique is just how openly they operate. All of these like Facebook groups and like TikTok accounts and YouTube channels and things like that, they're public. They're just out there. Granted, this is we're talking about this on Monday. This is basically referencing a expose by Wired that came out Saturday. And in that time, a lot of these companies, Google, Meta, TikTok, have responded and pulled down a lot of this content. But there's a lot of them that are still active, and there's a good chance that they'll probably just make new accounts and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Well, the thing that I read too, that's like, even if you don't send nudes, like they're using AI to generate nudes of you, at which point they could send your family or whatever. I've heard about these types of scams before, where they contact you and they'll either bluff or they won't. They'll show you evidence that they have footage of you doing whatever, and then they're going to send it to your family unless you send them. And they usually start like with a crazy number, like $1,000 or something.
Oh yeah. And
then they'll work their way down to whatever you're willing to give them. Even though if you don't give them anything, they probably won't do anything. But
yeah, and I mean, and this has been a very, very successful operation for them. They've been operating for years now, and they've gotten, according again to this Wired expose, they've gotten hundreds of millions of dollars from just all of their members doing these various scams. And I mean, it's not like, it's interesting because it's not like a I guess traditional criminal organization where they're like reporting to some authority, or they're working under some kind of leadership system. Basically, they're just like sharing scripts and methods for pulling these scams.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
a franchise.
The individuals
basically
are working for themselves. Yeah,
it's a scamming franchise.
Yeah,
Pyramid scheme.
It's just kind of, well, not even a pyramid scheme, because there is no one really
There's
at
no
the
one
top.
running it. It's just all collaborative work.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's definitely messed up.
I just like the name.
Yeah, the name really set me up for something else. I thought this was going to be a fun topic for once.
I'm sorry, it's
No.
not a fun story.
When do we get fun stories on this podcast?
Well, I mean, it's fun for the Yahoo Boys.
Well,
yeah.
They're having fun.
It's very. Is this considered like another form of like pig butchering, or is that more of a niche thing?
I mean, what is pig butchering other than the actual butchering of pigs? I'm not familiar.
It refers to a very similar scam where like people pretend to get into like online relationships with like the potential victims, and they just kind of get to know them up to the point where like that person is willing to like send them money.
Gotcha. I mean, I'd say this is a little different.
Yeah, this is just straight up extortion.
Yeah.
I mean, reaching a level of trust and then asking for money, at that point, it's kind of on you for sending someone money. But if it's a situation where you've got something directly held against you, saying if you don't send me this money, this is going to happen.
Well, there's another common form of this where like you get contacted by someone and they claim that there's a Trojan or a keylogger on your computer, and they know all the nasty stuff you've looked at online, and we've turned your webcam on, and like, out of every 10 people that you do that to, like 6 of them may be like, oh man, he's right. Like, without any proof at all, being like, I don't want anyone to know about this. So it's similar to that, only that I guess the difference is you're tricking them to a point. You're developing and fostering a relationship up until the point to where they can send you some kind of incriminating evidence. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing about pig butchering, which this isn't really, but it's important for just people to know in general. I remember it often starts with you getting like a text from like a random number who's like asking for, someone else, like, clearly like the kind of thing that in the past you would generally just assume to be a wrong number. And it basically goes like you respond saying, sorry, I think you have the wrong number. And they just try and keep the conversation going. Basically just like,
gotcha.
Fluffing up your ego, trying to get to know you up until, the point where, But again, focusing on like this group at hand, I do think it's kind of crazy and disturbing how like it took, Wired and other like investigative reporters to uncover this for all these different social media companies. Like, these are not like small groups. I
feel like there's definitely on every social media platform, there's a huge problem of just oversaturation where these companies just, no matter what they say they can and can't do, they don't have the means to monitor all the things that they should.
Right.
Yeah, Facebook, it says here there were 70,000 users in one of the groups, which is a lot, but think of how many Facebook groups there are, and how many users are on Facebook. Like 70,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to like what they have to police, and how do they, I'm sure they're not staffing for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's frustrating because I don't know how you stop it really. It always comes down to, balancing freedom with security. That's always the age-old question is,
Yeah,
you can implement systems that would like automatically scan every message for, things that could be potentially illegal and things like that. But at that point, is that just totally infringing on people's, privacy and whatnot? And I don't know. It's rough. I guess it's good that, we're talking about this on, the 6th, and this came out on the 4th, and a whole lot of these groups and whatnot have been pulled down in just that time.
Well, the thing is, though, the scary thing to me is how easy this is. That you can do this.
Well, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if they get pulled down. All you need is a phone and an account, and you can just go right back at it. So
yeah,
and a VPN potentially, but it sounds like they're not even using anything like that. They're just
that's the thing with. It's just like the world is so interconnected now that it's just crazy that like again this group is primarily located in West Africa. who in West Africa are you trusting to police this kind of thing? And it's not like, it's not like we, America, the United States, can just send a bunch of people to West Africa to arrest a bunch of people in, all of those different various countries. It's impossible to police this kind of thing.
I think the only like possible thing to do to, keep these kinds of things from happening is just, end user training of life. Like, I mean, people are so trusting and so gullible and so willing to share anything online.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, that's one of the only like foolproof ways to solve any scam. It's just making end users more aware and suspicious of everything, really.
Yeah.
And scams have been going on for thousands of years.
Well, yeah.
So
there have always been, there will always be scams, and they'll get more and more complicated and whatnot. I think, to your point about like the, like the AI generated nudes and whatnot, and deep fake images and all of that technology. That's what's honestly really terrifying to me, and it doesn't even really have anything to do with this scenario. It's just like in general, like we were talking about one story that we talked about covering on the like the YouTube Shorts was this. It's not a product that's coming out, but it was like a study that they were doing where they created, fairly realistic looking deepfakes from a single image and like 15 seconds of audio.
Yeah. Well, and they had them like singing songs, and there's like one video of the Mona Lisa singing like a rap song or something.
That one was really funny. But
well, even like with we talked about it a couple months ago with Sora, like just with Stable Diffusion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's horrifying too.
Even if like I don't know what you can just do with one picture there, but like using Stable Diffusion with a reference image, what could you accomplish?
I mean, even like in Adobe's like AI generation thing, you can now put in a reference image to help sway it to go a certain way. So, I mean, that kind of thing is definitely getting easier and easier for the common person to do. Now, obviously, more filtered things like Adobe and ChatGPT, they kind of mitigate a lot of the...
Yeah, they police it to some extent.
Right, but a lot of this technology
but all that stuff
is like...
open-faced somewhere else.
Right. It's usually drawing from some larger, stronger open source system that's a little more complicated to figure out, but not a lot more complicated to figure out,
Yeah.
I guess, the biggest takeaway with so many of these stories is just be suspicious of everything. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it seems too bad to be true, it's probably true anyway. But
this is how you get conspiracy, Noah.
Let's bring him back. If you see someone with Yahoo Boys in their name, just don't. Or AOL Boys or whatever new boy we've got out here trying to scam people.
AOL Boys. Oh, man. That can be the AOL Boys can fight this problem, I think. I think that's the move.
You think the AOL Boys would be heroes?
Yeah, we start a new club.
The GeoCities Boys. Napster Boys. Oh, the Lycos Boys.
Lycos?
Yeah.
Haven't heard of that one.
You've never heard of it before?
Never heard of Lycos.
Lycos was like
Lycos.
It was like back. I googled .com bubble companies because I'm just remembering them. Lycos was like it's like Yahoo, Google. It was meant to be like your homepage, but it was a search engine too. Mm. It was like your homepage. Alta Vista is another one. Alta Vista Boys.
I like the Lycos lads. I think it's got a nice ring to it.
I think that's all. InfoSeek Boys. Oh, the Ask Jeeves crew.
The Ask Jeeves crew.
I remember Ask Jeeves.
Man.
I never used it, but I remember it being a thing.
You guys remember Cha Cha?
I love Cha Cha. I always thought, I was like, I've got an encyclopedia of useless knowledge. I was like, maybe one day I'll work for Cha Cha.
It was 242242, I think, and it's spelled out Cha Cha. If you on like an old T9 like text keyboard kind of thing.
Sure.
And you would text this number and ask it questions. It was like the Alexa before Alexa or Siri.
Oh.
You would text it and ask questions, and it would give you answers.
But there were humans working behind the scenes actually looking up this stuff for you.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
it was cool.
And it doesn't exist anymore?
No, it was.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. It was founded in 2006, because I remember 2007
Sounds
probably
like a very
been when I would have.
2006 type thing, yeah.
And it was defunct in 2016.
Oh, man, that's a good run, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that doesn't exist anymore.
It said they had 5,000 freelance guides with at least 500 working at any one time.
So could any of these
Man.
people just give you the wrong information?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, surely.
I
Completely
trusted
possible.
Cha-Cha with my life.
I did too. Well, I used to love like being in an argument with a friend and be like, well, let's cha-cha.
Let's ask Cha-Cha.
Let's see what cha-cha's got to say about that.
Probably still more accurate than ChatGPT.
Honestly, yeah,
Probably.
maybe. But it looks like there was a desktop search function, but I always used the 242 service, which you had to pay like for text
Really?
message. Yeah.
Huh.
I got charged to my mom's cell phone plan.
Man. Well, let's talk about a much, much newer technology, TikTok. And since we've
in the morning feeling like P.
No,
Diddy.
not that TikTok.
Oh, got my glasses. I'm out the door.
wasn't glasses, wasn't
I think so.
Yeah.
was it glasses? Kesha didn't wear glasses though, did she?
Shit, Sunnies.
Maybe,
Sunnies. Yeah,
maybe I'm
okay,
changing
yeah.
my answer to the hypothetical. Maybe Kesha will be
Kesha. Mr. Worldwide could be. Let's get DJ Khaled as our.
Ooh, the funny thing is he has zero talent.
I know.
So
Every song would just be
that's crazy.
DJ Khaled.
and he would just like probably have to sample something.
Yeah.
Another one, and it's the same. It's the
We
same
get
exact
like
thing.
Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and then they'll just throw a DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled,
Yeah, I mean, that'd
we
be
the
great.
best music.
I love watching videos of him because there's like one where he walks out in all blue and he's like, "Call me Tiffany Blue Elmo," and like there's one who's wearing green. He's like, "Call me Asparagus," and he just cracks me up.
We can.
I saw those videos on TikTok, so we can leave it in because it's relevant.
So TikTok's getting banned.
Yeah, we all knew this was. We all knew this was coming.
That's the headline. The truth is way more complicated, of course, as it always is. So what's actually happened since we last talked about this, and there's a good chance that most people listening to this are already fairly aware, but the House, and then introduced by the House, also passed by the Senate, signed by law and by President Biden, was primarily was an aid package for a bunch of foreign countries, but sidebarred onto there to help get Republican support was the forced sale of TikTok, which I mean is what it's what it technically is. In the most likely outcome, at least according to TikTok, is that this will result in just a TikTok ban in the United States. Because basically it is forcing by January 1, 2025, TikTok has to sell to, I don't think it necessarily has to be an American company, right? It just has to be a
They have to divest. Yeah,
it has to be
Chinese
a-
interest.
Yeah. A non-hostile nation, I believe, is kind
And it
of the,
sounds like even
the
just
phrasing.
51%. Like it's not even the entire company has to be sold.
Really?
I
Okay.
think it's just the
Majority.
controlling, right?
So, yeah, basically, ByteDance has to give up TikTok if TikTok wants to stay in the United States. But
I want to
all-
see like ByteDance's list of pros and cons of either remaining available in America or not.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you need to know about this right now is the fact that TikTok and ByteDance, they are not under the impression that they're going to have to worry about this. They believe that they will be able to fight this primarily on the grounds of it supposedly violating the First Amendment. That's the argument that they're trying to make, is that by basically they have to make two hurdles here. One hurdle is that they have to make the argument that this is in actuality a ban of TikTok for their argument to hold any water. They have to make the argument that this is effectively a ban of TikTok, and as a ban of TikTok, they are basically restricting the First Amendment rights of the millions and millions of Americans who use TikTok. That is the argument that they will try to make. I think the biggest issue for them is going to be the fact that it is not technically a ban of TikTok. It is the attempt to force a divestiture of TikTok. And honestly, I don't know if there's any kind of precedent for this in obviously social media is a very young thing, but I don't think that there's any real history of a company being basically so powerful in the United States that the United States wanted to force a foreign nation to no longer be able to control that company.
I thought I read about something like this happening during the Cold War.
Isn't this what happened with Flappy Bird?
No.
No, but kind of. Well, I mean, as far as no, but it's not at all what happened.
As far as no.
But when he removed it from the App Store, yes.
Yeah, people still had it and could use it, but you couldn't update it. And yeah. I mean, up to this point that we're at now, has there been any definitive proof of, shady shit happening with TikTok?
Well,
other than, speculation and assumptions.
Here's the thing. There's been plenty of proof for a lot of kind of
any worse so than Meta?
No, that's the rub here. The rub is that TikTok is not doing anything worse than any other social media company in the United States.
That we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Okay.
Almost certainly not, to be frank. The fact of the matter is that they are not based in the United States.
Yeah.
The U.S. government doesn't care about Google or Meta or even X capturing all of this personal data and whatnot because they are American private entities. They care about TikTok because it is a Chinese quote unquote private entity.
Yeah.
And in China, nothing's private.
I mean, you say no, there is no evidence, but there is evidence in other industries with the exact same nationalized setup, basically. Corporate espionage is basically just legal in China.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, but that is again more of the kind of stuff that separates TikTok in terms of that's just by virtue of the fact of them being a Chinese company. It's not like they are actively capturing any more data than the other social media companies do.
No, but one of the clear distinct differences, though, is the version of TikTok that exists in China.
Yeah, I mean, that
is completely different than the version of TikTok that we have here.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And the amount of data they collect is different as well.
Well, that's because, well, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The objective of TikTok in China is completely different than the objective of TikTok in the United States. TikTok, and I don't think there is necessarily anything malicious to it, or at least no more malicious than the other social media companies, anyway. TikTok in America is an entertainment-based social media company where they make more money the longer you stay on the app, just like all the other apps. They make all of their advertising money and whatnot by essentially systematically addicting you to TikTok. which, yeah, that's arguably terrifying. But it's also, that's what YouTube does. That's what X wants to do. That's what Instagram does. They all do this. It's just that TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is, a Chinese company. And the fact of the matter is that any claims that TikTok makes that, their U.S. branches and whatnot are already like independent and whatnot from, the greater Chinese parent company is dubious, to say the least. There's good evidence for the fact that maybe China has not asked for this information yet, but if they ever wanted to, they definitely could, and TikTok would almost certainly have to give it up.
Yeah, and it's like insane information. Like, it's really valuable information. Probably, honestly, maybe more valuable information than even... It's probably similar to like what Meta collects, but it's more about, I guess, what keeps and grabs attention, I mean, it's about...
Right.
You could use that a million different ways for a million different things, but very valuable information to have as a country, not just a company, but like...
Well, yeah.
Especially a country that you could be at odds with, that's the main key difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. But I do think it's worth keeping in mind how, the stuff that's happening to TikTok, I'm not... Because what bugs me is that all of this information is still going to be collected by Meta, by Google, by all these other American companies. And a lot of the time, they're just selling that information.
Yeah.
They'll sell it to China. They'll sell it to Russia. They'll sell it to anyone who pays enough money.
I don't disagree. I mean, in a perfect world, there would be, data privacy laws that mattered. But
yeah, I mean,
that's ultimately that needs to be what happens. But like, I would rather, if someone were to have my information, I would rather them be a internal threat than an external threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the whole.
Look, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I have issues with just having this kind of just blanket trust for, American private companies just because they are, American private companies. I think that for the same reason that the United States government, distrusts TikTok, we should probably have way more scrutiny of these other American companies at the same time. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that there's a good... I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with TikTok over the next few months, because I genuinely don't know how much validity their argument has.
Do you think that there's any chance of this whole TikTok thing leading to more data privacy laws?
Not a chance.
Yeah, almost certainly not.
It was worth a shot.
The thing is, Google, Meta, these companies are too powerful to really let the U.S. government do anything to regulate them.
I mean, it should. Like, this conversation should basically bring you back to that, but ultimately that's not really where most people, I feel like, are looking at this from. They really are just China bad. A lot of people are China bad, TikTok bad. But I mean, the fact that all they have to do is divest and they can continue. I mean, if the ultimate goal of TikTok is to make money, then what does it matter,
Yeah, but at the same time,
like, can you imagine if Twitter was owned by the U.S. government? Like, how different that would be too,
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be very different, I'm sure.
Like, I would understand if China was threatening to ban Twitter if the U.S. government owned it.
Yeah, but doesn't China already ban, like, just
they
about
do,
anything?
but like, not even China. Like, if Ireland, the UK, they were like, yeah, we're banning Twitter because it's owned by the U.S. government. Like, what was that? What was that news site, RT, that was Russian state media? Yeah, like there was a push. Like I would understand banning that. Like there was a push to ban that. I don't think that actually ended up happening. But
Can I just get ByteDance to sell me TikTok? Hear me out.
for $1,
For like super cheap, and then they just pay me like a salary, and I still let them keep all their profits, but I own 51% of TikTok.
I think that sounds like fraud.
No, it's a business transaction.
I don't know what's going to end up happening with TikTok because the thing is, I genuinely don't understand why ByteDance is so against selling it.
Because they don't want to bend over to the American government is why. They don't want it to seem like, oh, well, America didn't like this, so we'll do it for them. They don't want to do that.
that's part of it. But I obviously still believe there really is some validity to the nefarious, like that we don't want to give up this information.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I also think they don't want to. They don't want to give up, not even just the information, but just like the power that TikTok wields potentially.
Yeah, but honestly, the information they've collected to this point, even if like platforms change, the information they have on the average American and their patterns is probably enough for them to start a propaganda campaign at this point. Like they could if they wanted to. So like I don't really know
but
if it matters at this point.
You can see them already kind of doing that. You know, we talked about that back when we first talked about this ban, back when the House was working to pass this or an earlier version of this bill, where, you know, TikTok put out like a notification on TikTok telling users to like call their congressman and complain. And Congress got more complaints about that than they have about like any other bill they've maybe ever done. And it did show kind of how just the insane hold that TikTok has on the people that use it, you know?
Well, I mean, it's very similar to like in the 60s, if one of the 3 TV channels that existed, someone was like, we're taking that away from you. Like people would be violent probably, because this is probably, I don't know, the largest platform for entertainment.
Yeah,
probably.
Maybe Netflix. There's like a few other things that could be, as far as how many homes that it's in. Like, I don't know of a single person.
TikTok's free, so you know.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't know of a single person that doesn't. I don't use it. I've never had it, but my wife does.
Never had a TikTok?
Never had a TikTok.
Man,
I mean,
see, I don't use TikTok anymore, but I did use it for a little while.
I never used Vine either, and to me, when Musically first came out and someone showed it to me, I was like, oh, that's just a crappy Vine. And I didn't like Vine, so I'm not going to like this. So I never even looked at it.
Musically is the company that became TikTok, for anyone listening who wasn't aware. But yeah.
So is Musically Chinese owned?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the context in which I was shown Musically the first time was there's this guy on YouTube called Pay Money Wubby. I don't know if you've seen him or heard of him. But you know H3 Productions, right?
Yeah.
You know early H3 where they actually like reacted to videos, basically, or things happening?
No, I only really know of H3. I've never really watched them.
Okay, so it was like they have a podcast now, but they used to have like, it was a reaction channel essentially. This is what this guy does. But he was reacting to like weird videos on Musically of like basically 12 or 13-year-old girls dancing to music, and it was all very kind of strange and odd, and almost seemed like there were some like other intentions with that. So that company, the first time I saw them was like a lot of fire based on how that sort of was allowed to happen. And then they rebranded like the next year to TikTok. And I was like, that's the same company.
Well, I'm pretty sure they got acquired.
Yeah.
Like the company that owns Musically got acquired by ByteDance, and then it's
the same like technology though. It was like the exact same, like basically
it's basically the same app, but yeah.
But yeah, that was the first introduction I had to that, was that guy's video just sort of breaking down what that was. And then, you know, obviously it was Chinese owned as well, but it was very odd.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens. I I guess we should talk about the actual news that's coming out like today. That TikTok had like their annual or quarterly. Hold on, I should check this before I. So TikTok had their like annual, basically pitch to marketers, just last week, and they basically just tried to, assure marketers that nothing was going to change. They weren't going to back down. They don't plan on going anywhere. And I mean, obviously they're going to show confidence as much as they possibly can because
especially to investors.
Well, marketers, which kind of in this case is basically investors because that's
their partners.
A lot of their money comes from. There's so much sponsored content on TikTok. So many, very successful just brands that just run TikTok accounts.
Yep.
Now, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like usually when legal stuff like this happens, I can get some kind of idea of like where things are going to go. I feel like I just have no clue what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the difference is, you're talking about Google, Facebook, Meta, whatever. They have lobbyists. They've got people in Washington that are fighting for their cause.
And I mean, obviously TikTok has that too. They've got plenty of money.
They do.
The problem is that there are no I should say no. There are very few like members of the House or Senate or the greater high level government positions that are willing to kind of take TikTok's side here.
Yes. I think that's the big difference. And they have lobbyists, but they don't have any. There's no other interest aside from just money for a politician to take a stance being pro China, pro TikTok.
Yeah,
it would be more damaging to their
If any
career.
politician is like, yeah, I'm pro TikTok, they're essentially saying they're pro China.
Right.
Yeah.
At this
And
point.
from
I mean,
political view standpoint of people who
it's worth saying that there are people on both sides of the aisle who have said that they are less pro TikTok and more just opposed to this ban.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's kind of the extreme right and left. Like I think like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez voted the same on this bill, which is
wild,
insane to think about. The kind of thing where those two would vote in the same direction. But also Marjorie Taylor Greene just hates every foreign country in the world. That's a different thing. It's very weird to judge even where lawmakers stand on this because it was this kind of tacked on thing to this generally very popular aid package for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. That was the primary thing to this bill. So I don't know. But anyway, it's out of Congress's hand anyway now because they've passed the bill. It's been signed into law.
Is there any like gray area, or I'm trying to think of a better word?
Almost certainly yes.
Like why is there nothing for like, hiding bills inside other bills to make them pass? Because that drives me insane.
Oh, that's just
I just hate that.
It's politics, baby.
It's like selling me a car, and then when I go and it's like you sell me a minivan, okay? And then I go and pick up this minivan, and they didn't tell me this when I bought it, but it's full of kids, and I have to take care of these kids now.
I think it's a lot like downloading Winamp.
It's like on the fine print.
And then you go to install Winamp, and there's a little tiny like pre-check thing that you click next to, and then all of a sudden you got a toolbar.
Yeah.
And you don't know how you got it.
Next thing you know, you got 10 toolbars take up your whole screen.
And an unregistered WinRare for some reason.
Well, I don't know. It's a little bit different from that because it's not. Here's the thing: it's not you voting on these laws anyway.
Well, yeah, but
we don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic.
Yeah, but it's either that or I don't download Winamp. So it is kind of a lot like that.
Because that's the thing. It'd be more like, to your like analogy of the minivan, it'd be more like, well, it'd be like at the dealership being like, well, I don't really want a minivan. Then they're like, well, if you get the minivan, well, stick this PS5 in the back seat for you.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's more accurate. Because it'll be like, well, I kind of want a PS5, but I don't really want a minivan.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
I hate it here.
So
Earth. Here being Earth.
The TikTok ban is the PS5 in the backseat of the minivan for Republicans.
Yeah.
I know what the thumbnail's going to be.
So I guess, Noah, you're pro TikTok though?
I wouldn't, like, honestly, I use TikTok, but, like, not enough to where I'd be devastated if it was gone.
Fair enough.
Here's the thing about me. I'm a very, like, have to be doing something at all times kind of person. And, you know, a lot of times if there's nothing else to do, TikTok is one of those things that fits that bill of just gives me something to do while I'm doing nothing else. So if TikTok didn't exist, I would just do something else, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well,
my brain would probably be a little bit less rotted than it is.
Well,
because I don't think the other thing I would do is like, honestly, two of the main things I do on my phone are like in terms of just, you know, well, let's say three of the main things I do on my phone is either watch YouTube, scroll through TikTok for 5 minutes, or do some sort of crossword puzzle word game on the New York Times app.
Right.
So, like, if TikTok wasn't in the equation, I wouldn't care. I'm not pro TikTok, but I think the whole concept of banning it compared to all these other companies that are essentially doing the same thing as far as we're aware, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, so much of not a fan that I would go, like, fight for it.
Sure, yeah. Well, look, I totally agree with you. Because it's also just, part of the thing in this country is it's just so hard for any individual to affect any meaningful change.
Yeah.
If they're not, you know, a billionaire or already a politician or both. I don't know. It's sad. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
Let's be real.
I'll just go back to Candy Crush.
Like
all the cool kids.
All you TikTok fanatics, all you stans out there, just if it gets banned, all those people are just going to go to like shorts or reels or both. You know, all the content will still be out there. It'll just be in a different place.
Yeah.
It's going to be all right.
Just take a deep breath.
Oh,
make you feel better.
If you call your congressman doesn't pick up the phone. It's some poor like aide who gets paid very little money. Just take it easy on them. You know, they'll write down whatever you want them to say and give it to the aide and give it to the actual like congressman. Just don't get mad at those poor people. It's not their fault. They don't write the laws.
Yeah, just listen to some Kesha, the last artist left in the world, and everything will be okay.
DJ Khaled.
Who do you think would win, like, in a fight to make the best music?
In a fight,
like
to make
if
the best music?
If they had to fight to decide who was going to be the one musician left,
like a fist
like
fight,
a physical fight,
or it could be like an epic rap battle.
Probably Kendrick Lamar at this point.
Come on, woo!
Thank you for listening to It's News to Me. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see or hear more like it, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@BurkIT or go to our website at burkitc.com. Our theme music is Big City Lights by Icolix. Come back in 2 weeks to hear more of me, Noah, and Tyler in the next episode of It's News to Me. In the meantime, keep your data secure and your mind sharp.
It's not Drake. Let me tell you that.
Gosh. Do you remember when, well, I'm sure you remember. You seem more plugged into this than I am. Remember like the last time, might not have been the last time, but at least one of the times when Drake was in like a beef, he got mad because the other guy made it too personal. He put out like a statement in response to a diss track, which like, if you're a rapper vying for respect, you don't put out a statement in response to a diss track.
What I thought was funny was, I'm not going to go into all the details of the rap battle, but Drake did release a song last night responding to Kendrick's last diss track. And it was more a defense. It's the first like rap battle defense that I've ever, instead of just going after him, he was like, wait, hold on. I got to defend all the things you accuse me of. And then at the end, he's like, you know, I needed this. He was like, sometimes it's just good to get pen to paper on an exercise. I'm like, this is the corniest dude of all time. And you know what? This was good for me. No, it wasn't, dude.